Hello, everybody. Welcome to the panel Social Media and Community Engagement Post-Crisis Opportunities. And for this topic, I'm glad to welcome Monica from Weekend Desk, Neil from Cabify, and we are waiting for Alexia from Novotel joining in a few minutes. So for all our attendees, if you have some question, feel free to write it on the right side chat, and we'll try to make a quick Q&A session at the end. So let's start. Let's waiting for Alexia. So before the conversation, so guys, before can you quickly introduce yourself? So let's start with Monica, maybe.
Hello, everyone, and thanks a lot for being here. And well, I will introduce myself. I'm now the head of social and content from Weekend Desk. So I'm in charge of basically managing the social media and content strategy across the different markets in which we have presence now, which are basically France, Spain, Belgium, and Italy. And actually managing the brand topics, brand content topics across the different markets.
All right, welcome Alexia to the call. All right, we were just chatting for the introduction, so please, if you want to introduce yourself. We lose Alexia again. This is the live. Okay, let's move forward with Neil.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Neil Bertran, and I'm currently working as a global CRM manager in Cabify. And in the past, I have been working in Immobo, a fast-growing micro-mobility startup, as a CRM and trade manager. And before that, I was leading the CRM and customer intelligence team in Desigual. So we can say that my strength and my focus is on CRM and data-driven marketing.
All right, thank you very much. And we get back Alexia again. So
I'm so sorry.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I hope my connection is going to be okay. I'm sorry, guys. So my name is Alexia. I'm in charge of global communication for Novotel. So Novotel is the first and pioneer brand for the Accor group, which is a French hotelier group. And we have 42 brands, and I'm the first one. So we have 530 hotels all around the world, which means in 60 countries. And I have to manage the brand consistency, which means to create a momentum around the Novotel brand with the 60 countries, and to create also the same artistic direction, editorial direction, and to create this famous brand, which is Novotel.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm Kevin Markowski. I'm a CEO and co-founder at Spitche, and I'm also co-founder and co-host at Get Together, which is this event today. And we are going to start with this panel, which is social media and community engagement post-crisis opportunities. So guys, you are all working in industries hardly impacted by the COVID. How did you react when the lockdown and first restriction appeared? So let's start by Monica.
Well, you can imagine that for the travel industry, we had a huge impact across the different countries. And our first reaction is that we had to deal with a huge number of cancellations from the different customers, because in the end, hotels close barely from one day to another. And on the other side, we had to change completely our brand and content strategy. So we had a lot of campaigns already planned for the Easter, and even we were thinking already about the summer. So we had to change completely our social media strategy, think to how we can inspire our audience through other completely different content, completely adapting to and according to the situation in which people were staying at home, and for sure traveling wasn't like the right moment to do it. So our first reaction was basically that: use social media as a platform to reply the audience, to deal with the customer the customer service, and position ourselves during those hard moments. And then we update very, very quickly with all the marketing team the content that we were publishing, and taking advantage that as a travel field, in the end, we can use a lot of information to inspire people to travel without getting out of home. So basically, we did a huge job in just a few weeks.
All right, and in terms of customer support, so you were saying like then the content strategy and the social media strategy was moving a lot to the customer support to reply to the customers for refund or like help. Mainly which social media channel you are using?
Normally, well, you know that people normally use Twitter, but on our site, basically Facebook was the first channel in which we saw a number of messages and replies on the different posts. So to deal with the huge number of cancellations and also the huge number of people who were asking for the cancellations, we had to prepare like different guidelines and brand strategy in the end about how we could reply and how we could use the situation to have a very strong and very powerful strategy and position ourselves as a brand during those moments. Because we saw, for example, other brands in the travel industry who weren't replying or using social media, for example, to engage with the customers, to position like we are, let's say, a local and close brand that wants you to travel safe. So basically, we prepared these guidelines, and also we had like this speech in mind, and we took advantage of the situation.
All right. Alexia, if I say right, you were at the middle of a launch at this time. So can you tell us a little bit more about this launch and how did you manage the situation when everything happened?
I think it's quite the same with Monica. So in terms of positioning, Novotel is around time well spent. Perfect. Time is going to be well spent, whether you're at home or in a hotel. It's perfect. So we were starting. It was super important for us to position ourselves between all the brands in the Accor group, but also in the world. So we were starting to think about this new positioning 2 years before, in order to encourage people to take time for themselves with other qualitative time and stuff. And we started the rollout of the new visual identity. I think it was in beginning of March. We knew that something was happening because in January we heard about China. Most of our hotels were closing, actually, the frontiers as well. So that's why we started to say, okay, let's start this communication only on social media to see what's happening. And we started the rollout at the beginning of March, and mid-March we say, okay, we have to be sure this positioning is the right one. Hopefully we were lucky. So as Monica said, it was an opportunity for us. So we took advantage of this situation, which was to say, okay, people are going to be in a very particular situation. We don't know what. I'm sorry, this is part of the home office moment, and we thought that it was the right moment to be sure we were all aligned with the countries, with the people in general, and if we had the right way to speak to our customers. That was the main point. So that's why we focus first on social media, particularly on Instagram, which is the key social media for us, as we want people to enjoy aspirational moments and take time for themselves. Well, like, okay, social media is perfect for us. Even for our hotels and stuff, it's important to see that the brand is still alive and that we want to be all together in this. That was part of the strategy. We created for all the Accor brands, we created all together, which was super important for us to say, okay, we're in this together. Accor decided also for hotels to create a label, which name is All Safe. So we had to work on this communication to reassure people, saying, okay, we're doing our best to be sure all the criteria in terms of cleanliness, and everything actually is ready for you guys to go to the hotel, because we had also many people coming to hotels because they were in quarantine. So we decided to welcome some people to make them take time a bit for themselves. And it was super important for us to have a very, very focused message, which was time is on your side. And we're going to be on your side, guys, to help you take time. So we created mantras, satisfying content, many things actually, to say that when you're on Novotel's social media, you're taking a deep breath.
Cool. So actually, this new brand identity arrived at the right time, because during the lockdown, actually, people, they were like finally taking time for everything, finally thinking about themselves, spending time about themselves, etc. So it actually happened at the right time, and maybe it was actually an opportunity. We will come back to that later. So Neil, if I didn't say anything wrong, so for Cabify, the business was not stopped at to zero. You were like still having a bit of business, and actually to like in terms of equipment for the car, etc. So how did you manage everything? First with your community of customers, with your drivers as well. What did you do at this time?
Yeah, you have to understand that we have a very difficult situation, because we were in our cars, we meet drivers and riders, so we have to ensure the security for all of them. So Cabify is operating now in Spain and all over Latin America. So this sector has been directly hit by the crisis, but as you said, we haven't stopped our activity. We have innovated, and we have given more use to our fleet. I will develop this later. But well, the first thing that we did is to create a crisis management plan. And our objective was to give confidence to all the audiences, riders, the drivers or workers in the offices, and with the companies that they are sending their workers with or cars. So we implemented a lot of security measures, like washing the hands, adding new protocols to the driver's routine. And we also, as a brand, have redefined our strategy, and we have translated it into key messages for all the audiences. And we have based our communications plan in transparency. We thought that it was very important to be as honest as we could with our audience. So we have reinforced the safety for the user. We have detailed all the protections that we had and the lines that we were following. We have also explained what we need from their part, which is basically to reduce the contact with the driver and to wear mask during all the trip. And at the same time, we have talked with our drivers. We have, as I said, add new protocols, to ensure that we were having safe trips, because it was very important for us to not stop the activity, because a lot of drivers also were depending on that job. So it was important to keep the activity going. So, and we have also done like social contributions, going one step further. I think that we have done like very nice things, like what we called Cabify para Héroes. Cabify for Heroes was a new category that we have launched, which helped the workers on the hospitals. We were giving them special discounts, very high discounts, to move them from their homes to the hospitals and vice versa. So we have done this especially in Madrid, but also in all the countries that where we are. We have done something to help the communities to have the best experience, if we can say in an appropriate way, in these rough times. So it was all coordinated with the local teams, because as I said, it was very different, the situation in Brazil than in Mexico than in Spain. In Barcelona, we had one situation, and in Madrid, another. So imagine what happens between countries in all over Latin America. So it was very important for us to be very coordinated with the local teams. The quote, think global, act local was more than ever appropriate in that situation. So yeah, it has been very nice to see how people has given the best in this very, very difficult situation. And in the comms perspective, it has been a unique experience.
All right. So we were just talking about what was the reaction during the COVID and when it happened. But after that, we saw that the lockdown were about to stay during 1 month, 2 months, 3 months for some countries. How did you keep engaging with your community at this time? Like we saw a lot of brands during this lockdown, like they didn't have anything else to do that engaging online with their community. They creating some challenge. They were like using their community to create content as well. What did you do during like this time? Did you also create some challenge? Did you played with this community? Did you actually get some insight from them, etc., in order to launch something different later? So Monica, what did you do?
On our side, first of all, in the end, you say during the lockdown, traveling was impossible to do. So we play with that fact. In the end, people was willing and thinking about when would be the next trip or the chance they would have in the future to travel again. So we play with that feeling. And for example, one of the things we did was launching a challenge across the different Instagram stories pages, in which during 2 weeks, users had to share different memories and pictures related to the latest trip, the funniest moment, favorite place, favorite song linked to the trip, and other actions that in the end had a huge impact and people engaged a lot. We launched it in the middle of the lockdown, and then apart of the challenge, we used social media to inspire our community about, as I was saying before, how users could kind of travel without getting out of home. We can read, we can see a lot of movies, we can read a lot of articles and information about the trips, gastronomy, and in the end, a trip is an experience, and it's not only about the place. There are a lot of things that people remind when traveling. So we play with all these situations to engage with the community, and honestly, we saw a huge response from the users. And apart from this, we followed the different phases, for example, in Spain, and then, for example, in France, that it was possible to travel during the first stage under, I think it was less than 100 kilometers. So we started recommending activities to do near home, daily plans, weekends, activities. And we started to use more like our social media as a channel to educate, to inform people about what they could do, what it was possible to do, following very, very closely in the end how the situation was evolving across the different countries, because the situation was completely different. And that was the moment we realized that it was very, very important to stay local and to adapt the content even daily. From 1 week to another, everything changed so fast. But in the end, I have to say that using social media during the lockdown as a travel brand, was really useful for us to be well positioned after the lockdown. So I think we took the chance, and I saw other travel brands who did the same. And in the end, it was a work that was really useful for us in the coming months.
All right. What about you, Alexia? Did you create, or you were mentioning previously that you were creating some small challenge, some mantras to do? Can you develop about that?
With pleasure. So I want to give a bit of context. When we started to launch this new visual identity with this new positioning, which is actually time is on your side, we conducted a survey which was in six countries: Brazil, France, Germany, so everywhere in the world. And we had this figure actually, which is super impressive. 58% of people that prefer to have more time rather than more money. That was perfect for us. It confirmed everything. That's why we wanted to focus on, as Monica said, the travel, but the experience of traveling with the mind, let's say so, in your house rather than literally traveling. So, which was interesting here is that our communication was the following: was to say, now you don't have any excuse not to take time for you. Whether you're alone, you have a family, you're in a relationship, whatever, you need to spend time with yourself. It's super important. We have a partnership actually with Calm, the meditation, sleep and concentration app, which is located in California. And it was the best way for us to say we have to legitimate our positioning and to encourage people to take time for themselves. Why? Because it's the best way to take care of your mental health. So this was super interesting for us because people, they knew that this situation is so tough. We don't know anything. We don't have any visibility or whatever. So we need to focus on this moment just for us. That's why it was the best way for us to say, okay, mental health is going to be key for you and for us as well. And you need also to take time to meditate, to sleep well, because sleep is also super important. And thanks to many content from Calm, we were able to create unique content to invite people to take time for themselves. We created tutorials in order to help people follow step by step the way how to sleep better. We created challenges as well to make people win a subscription to Calm. And we had also some mantras. Mantras, they worked really well because I think people, they had time. So we were starting, it was a kind of a gap quote. So we were starting a quote and you had to finish it with the thing which is important for you. And this worked really well. In addition, we created satisfying videos, those very particular moments when you think, I don't know, a knife cutting something really smoothly and very regularly, you love it. We did the same actually, and it worked really well. It was a good way for us to legitimate this positioning of Novotel, because you're not waiting for Novotel to say, hey, it's time for you to take time. So that's why Calm helped us to create this particular atmosphere. And it worked well because we had many more followers, even if it was very difficult in those moments. The other brands of the group, they had many issues to be visible by the algorithm of Instagram. So we were lucky because our content was considered as a good content for people. And it was a good way for us to have a better reach, but also better engagement.
Right, and we actually have an event room for Calm. So if the attendees want to have like a peaceful moment, they can join the Calm room on the left side menu, and they can have a break during the day, but not a break during this session. Neil, I have a question for you. So I know that Cabify was very active in the past years in terms of business model, in terms of activity, new projects, even recently. With the lockdown and the post-lockdown, which opportunities or which new business model appears for Cabify?
Well, in a business perspective, what we have seen is a clear opportunity to use our fleet to adapt our fleet and our drivers to do something more than just trips. What we have seen that is with the mobility restrictions, we couldn't move people, so people was in their homes and they wanted to move things. So we added a category in our list of categories in the app, which was Cabify Envíos. So what we did is to make it possible to a user to send things without contact. It was very important in this context of pandemic and virus that the driver and the people who wanted to send things or receive things they had the minimum contact possible. So the driver was opening the car, the people were putting the things or taking the things of the car without contact. So we have launched this category, which started with the pandemic. We didn't know if it would last a lot, but it is still alive, and it seems that it seems that it will be with us for a long time. When the lockdown was finishing, the mobility in the cities has been changed, and we have seen another opportunity, really cool opportunity, I think, which was about the bicycle movement. So people wanted to move more with bikes and less with public transport or private transport. So we launched another app from the same group, but with the same technology as Cabify, but it's a different app, which is called Vibe. In Vibe, what you can do is to buy a bike, but under a subscription contract. So you have the bike, but with this subscription, you also have an insurance, you also have maintenance and a lot of another benefits. So it's a different format, subscription to buy a bike, which is not very usual. And is a more technological approach to this new sector that is coming and that is booming nowadays. If we talk about communications perspective, we have seen another opportunities. The main opportunities that we have seen is to expand our security positioning. We were positioned as a very secure brand, but when we talk about security, we talk about having clean cars, having safe cars or safe drivers, safe driving. But nowadays we have realized that we had to improve our safety concept and to expand it and to add the health security in this concept. So we are adding it, we are communicating it, and I think that our community is very grateful about it because we haven't faced it. Well, we have faced difficulties as everyone, but we are having activity and we are recovering the business.
All right. Yeah, actually, I know a lot of people now, like they don't want to take anymore the metro or the bus where there is like a lot of people, so they try to indeed to go through cars when they can, but also through bicycle or like motor sharing or this kind of thing. So we know that we are all based in cities like Barcelona, Madrid, Paris, etc., and we know that motor sharing, for example, or even like the bicycle is actually more and more used by the people. So in terms of new business model and new opportunities, Monica, what happened with Weekend Desk? Did you get some new ideas on new business model after the lockdown? So you were talking a little bit about your position as like a local expert. What did you do?
Yes, basically after the lockdown, we noticed that in the end, the way of traveling completely changed, and most people choice was traveling near home and stay in the same country. So our opportunity and main opportunity was to focus on the local part and become an expert of local trips and escapes. This is something we've already worked in the past, but I think more than ever now was our first position baseline, let's say. On the second line, we saw that the trends when traveling changed a lot. For example, people, this is something that we already see nowadays that are very, very last minute. So this is something we have had to work very hard on the website, not only for the product, also for the content and social media. a lot of ideas about the categories change. Like, for example, now people, when traveling, something that they put on the first place is the gastronomy, like having the dinner or the breakfast in the room. And then, of course, for example, another input was the privacy when traveling. So having a private breakfast, the private jacuzzi, other things in the end was something we already had on the website, but we decided to push and to adapt according to the situation. And then it was a huge opportunity for us to position as a local expert, as I was saying, and use all these trends and studies we did in our platform to be shared on the media, for example, in different press releases, because now something is happening a lot with the COVID situation is people don't know how to travel, what is possible to do. So this is the part I think we can work very well, the local part and the become an expert about what is possible to do and offering the customer exactly what they are willing to do in the end being specific and according to the situation, basically.
And how did you get all this information about what the people were expecting, what your customers were expecting? Is it information that you got from the social media? Is it like some request directly on your website or on your app from your customers? How did you get all this insight in order to decide what to do?
Normally on our website, we can see a lot of inputs about the type of packages that people are booking, the most popular region. So we saw that staying local was the most important thing. And also regarding the categories, we can see exactly the percentage of growth of, for example, the gastronomy escapes now during these last months has increased almost 50% versus last year. So we saw that this was a huge trend. And then wellness experience always was one of the most powerful escape we offer. And now this year, for example, we saw that private spa was increasing a lot. So in the end, I think one of the learnings was to be very last minute and adapt social media and content more and more, because in the end, it's very important to adapt to the situation day by day even.
Yeah, actually, the last minute it became a big standard for all the customers traveling, for airline companies, but also for like traveling in any kind of situation. And I'm sure, like Alexia, for the hotel is the same as well. So for you, which kind of new business model appeared? We saw that a lot of hotels were turning the bedrooms into a small office, or even like more and more hotels are going to the co-working space. And with the last minute booking, I believe it changed also a lot the model of working. So can you develop about that?
Yeah, it is super challenging, but I think it's super interesting as well. First thing for us, for Novotel, as we are a mid-scale brand, thanks to social media, so from the engagement of our audience, but also confirmed by studies we have internally, because we have a consumer and insight team which is in charge of studies. We were able to confirm the fact that a mid-scale brand, as we are at Novotel, is able and is weighted to talk about well-being trends. So we thought, because well-being is a bit more luxurious, let's say so. Now we know that well-being has to be accessible for everyone. So for us, it was really great news, because once more it confirmed that we were on the right path. And as a second thing, it was important for us to say, okay, if you don't come in my rooms, I need to get you in my room, let's say so, to make people live the hospitality experience differently. That's why we launched the pilot in the UK. It was 250 rooms actually that you can book for one day in order to enjoy a moment to work with your team, to enjoy a nap actually, because we have really good beds, And to say that, yeah, even if you don't have the typical hospitality experience, you're going to enjoy another moment with us. So we organized also a specific F&B, so food and beverage, in your room to be sure that everything is gathered to offer you the best working experience you can imagine. This is super important for us. And now we're thinking of creating co-working places. We have, for example, Bojo, which is a brand we share with Bouygues Construction. And we want to, we're already started actually. We want to set up some Bojo corners directly in the hotels. Because as you know, for example, for Accor, we shouldn't come to the office because at the moment the situation is critical. So they invite us and they encourage us to go and work in those different Bojo corners, which is, I think, a revolution for working. So in that kind of situation, I will be able to meet some other colleagues from other business units and stuff. I will be also able to meet people, customers from the hotel, but also people living in the district. So I think it's changing relationships, but also a relationship to work, and I think it's great news. And for hotels, I think everything is going to be super challenging, but we need to do it, and I think that's for the best.
And with all of this, which role played the social media in order to help with all of that? Did you do you use a lot social media in order to communicate and to manage this new business model? Also, if yes, which channel you are using the most? Yeah.
So social media is the way for us to test things, to see how people react to a different kind of formats, visuals, and also offers we want to push. So it's the best way, I think, to test an offer, not very expensively, but also it's a good way for us to see what's the needs from the audience. So when we saw that people that were looking for well-being content, we focused on it. But I think it's also a good way for us. That's why we're going to go with LinkedIn more than ever, because Novotel at the moment is 65% leisure and 35% business. So as you can imagine, business is a bit in a bad mood at the moment. But it's just say, okay, even if business is not going that well, we're still here for you. And I think it's important for us to work on LinkedIn in order to create this relationship. But I would say also social media for us is the best way to keep the relationship with our audience. Even if we can't travel, even if we can't work in a hotel, it's still a good way to say, okay, this is those are the main topics for the brand, and we're still here for you. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're here to help you.
Right, thank you very much. So I think there is 5, 6, 7 minutes left, and we actually have some questions from the audience. So let's start by the first one. So how is the onboarding process? How has that changed for each respective organization, and especially since COVID seems to be an ongoing issue for the near future? So what does it change with the onboarding process for each customers? Let's start by Neil.
What we have done is to adapt our communications in our social media and in our activation life cycle communications, giving more importance to the safety concept, health safety concept, because it's what the user is demanding, and it is true, it's what we have in our cars. So it has only changed in that perspective, because we are also having new users and we are acquiring users.
Right, Monica?
Well, on our side, as I was saying before, we have changed our communication plan, the same for the social media. And in the end, it's like a live process, and we take advantage of social media and to use the social media platforms to update our strategy, to receive new inputs, insights. And I think it's a very live thing that we need to check and be open to remake more and more. So I think this has changed since this year, especially after the lockdown, and we have learned to let's say change things even daily. So that's the main change I see around, not only for social media but also for the whole marketing process, to be more aligned and to be more daily according to the change and the evolution that we see. Because in the end, and I'm sure Alexia will be agree with me, that the situation is changing from one week to another. So one week everything can be like super good and everyone on social media is very active because the trend is good, and the other one, things are going back again. So in the end, I think that's the main learning.
All right. We have a question number 2, and I think Alexia is gonna reply the first. With the continuous brand repositioning, will this inherently harm the overall brand perspective with the consumer's mind? So I believe, like, with the new brand identity of Novotel, it didn't harm too much. It was actually on the right way. But how did you manage that in terms of like changing the customer mind, or did you use that to reach a new audience of customers as well? Because we know that, for example, very young people, they are very focused on wellness, on sport, on mindset, etc. What did all this new brand identity change for your current audience, and did it allow you to reach a new audience?
You answered the question. Yeah, exactly. It was a good way for us to, you can work for Novotel. So it was a good way for us to rejuvenate the brand for our actual and current audience, but it was also a good way to highlight more our messages, time well spent and well-being. But I would say, as Neil said, safety now is super important for us. So it's just, things are not changing that much for Novotel, and I have to say we're lucky, because I cannot imagine changing my communication plan almost every day. It's super challenging. So we were quite lucky. We had to change a little bit our orientation, but still was okay. It's just to say that we have messages, and we're an old hotelier actor, which as a core. So it's important for us to say, okay, we're going to highlight and to focus on the main messages: safety, agility, well-being, and relationship with our customers. And I think it was, for us, it's not going to harm us, but I would say the contrary, actually. It's a good way for us to focus on our pillars, because people, they need to be sure that we're aligned with our positioning. And in the Novotel case, yes, we're lucky, everything is aligned.
All right. So very quickly, because I think we have only 2 minutes left, so maybe one or two phrases per person. But we already partly replied to this question. Have you noticed a change in behavior from your online community on social media after the crisis? So Neil, maybe you go first.
Yeah, okay. I'm not in charge of social media in Cabify, but what you can appreciate is that we have had very good engagement levels during the pandemic, and we are having continuing with these good levels of interaction. So I can say that I have seen a change, yeah, but in positive.
All right.
Yes, I have the same feedback on our site. Our engagement rate is stronger than ever. And now I have to say, I see in general people is more active in social media, especially on Instagram, and they are more likely to interact, comment, share, reply. So.
And they don't want to lose time, I think. They want to be sure we're authentic in our positioning. So we can't lie to our customers, let's say, anymore. We have to be aligned with the positioning and the actions. I think now people, particularly in CSR, for example, for us, we want to remove plastic, for example, from our rooms. Because of COVID, we have to postpone it a little bit. But now I know people, they won't let us doing any kind of error. If we say so, we have to act so.
All right. So guys, we run out of time. It was a pleasure to talk with you. So thanks again a lot to Monica, Alexia, and Neil. It was really insightful. I'm sure everybody enjoyed this conversation. And remember that you can book your travel with Weekend Desk. You can go to the Cabify by car, and you can stay in a Novotel hotel. So thanks again to everybody to be here today. Let's go to the next cool entertainment. So we have a magic show with the famous Daniel Fernandez. So thanks again to everybody, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.